My name is Scott Cartwright, and this is Tempor Footnotes. Hi. I'm going to keep this episode short. It's not really an episode as much as it is just a couple of announcements that I just want to let people know about. So I hope to get through this as quickly as I can in one shot. So one, as you can hear, I have new music, and I wanted to give a shout out to Simon Mathewson of New Teal Records, and I will have a link to the description. I ended up looking for music that I could use for this, and I happened across his and wanted to give a shout out. I basically, sort of a open source pay what you want type of thing for an album, and got this and have some tracks that I'll end up kind of testing around and moving around as I get more proficient with the podcasting process, right? So there is that. So thank you, Simon. Another announcement that I have is, secondly, if you want to work with Jenny Lynn and I on any type of audio projects or interviews or just talking or chatting, I would be totally open with it. I will kind of talk a little bit about a story in a second here about kind of like what made me think about this type of process and why we're choosing this format for new Tempor content. But basically, we're kind of all stuck, around in our various shelter-in-place situations. And if you want to end up having a Zoom meeting, record it, put it in podcast format or a telephone call or whatever else, just reach out. And if you want to work on something, I'm down. So you can find a link to our email. You can go to tempormag.com, but our email address is hello@tempormag.com. If you want to, shoot the breeze and get back in the contact. That was something that I was kind of thinking about this week when I kind of hit a wall. I hit a wall last week. That was something that really, it happened, and it happened all of a sudden. I think what happens when you're out in physical space, like you have your routines and your, you have your basic routines, right? You being able to go to, like, you end up having your work, you end up exercising, going to the store, picking up your son or kids at a certain time, dropping him off at a certain time, and then all of a sudden everything is happening within this space, and then your work life happens within it, your personal life happens within it, your family life happens in it, your son's educational life happens within it, and it's kind of hard to pace. And that's something that I think I hit a wall with last week, where it all of a sudden I have kind of a nighttime, I have a morning schedule and I have a nighttime schedule. So I have classes where I'm teaching at night, and I'm having Zoom meetups and keeping student engagement up so they actually turn in their final assignments and get graded for the class and get something out of the money that they spent for the classes. And so it requires me to wake up early and do things. And then I'm having to, Jenny Lynn and I are having to take turns like negotiating Marco in education, keeping him engaged, and continuity of his like VPK program. He's in kindergarten next year. So keeping him keeping on going with the foundation that when he was in school before all this happened, keeping that going, as well as, life, lunch, food, conversations, keeping things low key conversations. And then that interspersed at the same time with work emails, her work emails, my school emails, like all that stuff. And then I'll end up having like evening meetups with students during those meetups. And then by the time it's 9 o'clock or so, I'm done. But then I'm wired from kind of group meetup moderation and stuff. So a lot of it just kind of the aspect of finding pace is a bit of a challenge. kind of like a marathon runner or something, like a long distance runner, like running too fast or exactly like running too fast and then all of a sudden burning themselves out. And I feel like I had a burnout moment last Thursday where it was late. We were having dinner, and then the next day I basically, got really dizzy. Like I have never been that dizzy in my life. And I didn't know where it ultimately came from. It might've been food poisoning or something, but basically I was like basically vomiting all morning, and the spinning was like 360 degrees. Like if my head was spinning around inside my head, 360 degrees along my neck. But then I would have these like swirls that happened, like where that was happening, but at the same time, like these swirls would happen. I was also like really like light sensitive, where I needed to put a pillow over my eyes, and it basically just took me down for the entire day. And it also took me down for Saturday and Sunday too. I mean, I was able to get up and kind of walk around and do things, not until like Sunday, where I started to feel better, but that part of it was pretty intense. And I don't know, it made me think, it made me hyper aware in my dreams about spatial aspects of places that I was in the past. So one dream I was having was with my stepfather passed away at the bowling alley. And it was this night that we were watching. I was probably in middle school, and we were watching the Rockets and the Knicks play in the NBA finals. And it was where they were cutting to the OJ chase, at the same time. And we were just like, we want to watch the Rockets play, and they're playing OJ. What gives? Anyway, I just remember, it was weird because I was remembering every nook and cranny. I was remembering the carpet color, the lighting, where things were in the bowling alley. And I was just having dreams like that. And then it was basically the building that I went to graduate school in was the same way. I had another dream, and it was based on a old faculty that taught there that was sharing photos from when he went to school there. And I remember the lockers, and it just kind of made me think about like the lockers in the studio rooms in that building. And I remembered the layout of the building, all the way through it. And I don't know, it was reminiscent of an artist, for people that didn't study art in school. Mike Kelly had this piece in the 1990s called Educational Complex, where it was a large scale architectural scale model made out of like foam core, plexiglass, and like a very well done architectural scale model of all of the spaces that he had, that he could, kind of recount from memory, of like from grade school all the way through college, of all these buildings kind of put together, kind of like lopped off from other buildings and kind of combined in the spaces that he occupied. And it was something like that, where it was strange to be able to recall that, in a kind of being in a dream, like being sick, and then like having these like vivid dreams of things like that. And I don't know, I guess the weekend kind of taught me that I wanted to get back into contact a little bit with people that I haven't been in contact with in quite a while. And I don't know, I think that this is sort of our normal at this point, where we're going to be isolated, kind of working and conducting our lives alone, with less human interaction. And I don't know, I wanted to, I wanted to make the podcast based on those ideas more than outwardly trying to sell. Like, I'm coming at the podcasting thing from just more content standpoint of what I can design around the content that I can create, as well as, let people know what I'm up to. And maybe that can be kind of like I'm throwing a bottle out into the world, rather than the kind of the sales pitch model of these, where as I've been doing research and kind of getting subscribed to groups and listening to people talk about it, it always kind of feels like it's something that I'm trying to sell, or I'm trying to sell myself, or I'm trying to sell some product or something. And I don't necessarily want to sell anything. I want to just have content out there that can end up turning into something. And, we've been spending this period of time taking our third issue of Tempor and turning it into, kind of a consistent EPUB and kind of transitioning to digital, because the challenge ends up being that we want to make print publications, because this project started out of the love for print and being able to make basically process, film, scan, and do kind of longer thought processed long form writing with thing like photo methods and art documentation type of methods that would be slower and less fast, because it ended up coming out of a period of time where we were feeling like that we were oversaturated with digital. And I don't know, I guess in the 4 years since we kind of took on this project, one thing is for certain is it's kind of gotten worse, or I guess it is worse. And trying to find a way to strike a balance with the various pieces of content that we can ultimately put out and how we can design around that content is what we were striving for. And I think that the podcast method ends up being a slower method. It certainly does help in the process of being able to record yourself and then edit yourself. So you're listening to yourself talk, and, any ideas that can kind of come to do another thing happens from this talking, that bringing other people into the mix would be a really awesome thing. And so that one project that we're having, turning issue 3 into an EPUB, from basically we were very, very close to having it out. And we were ultimately going to have a photo exhibition at Bailey Contemporary Art Center in Pompano Beach. But with the COVID-19 outbreak, it was going to happen right about now. It would have been up, but we're going to have to postpone it. But this ends up being a kind of a cool opportunity to figure out what this thing can be now. And I don't know, kind of getting the EPUB up to, and all the other EPUBs up to a point where people kind of start downloading them and kind of adopting the strategy, the different kind of payment strategies that you can ultimately have with it would be the things that we're working on these days to kind of digitize ourself, because the times kind of necessitate it a little bit more. So anyway, other than that, that's what we've been up to, and really just trying to get better at this. And that was my basic announcement that I wanted to have for you guys. So again, thank you, Simon Mathewson, for the music. It's very nice and helpful and pretty and nice. I like the music a lot, and we'll keep you posted with any new occurrences. And in the meantime, we'll end up having other conversations that me and Jenny Lynn have, as well as any new interviews that anybody would want to come up with. So keep in touch in the future, and hope you're enjoying this. So thank you.